Yeah, I just want to echo what Brad said. Thank you all for coming. It's really great to see the space full like this, and I really appreciate it. I see a lot of familiar faces, so I'm assuming we have a lot of repeat people here from last time when Lindsay was our presenter. Last time, Lindsay covered how AI is a partner and how we shouldn't become reliant on it, right? So more of the philosophy. What I want to focus on for today's meeting is the practice on how we use AI to accelerate our work. Is anybody, just by a show of hands, is anybody familiar with Enneagrams? Yeah? Great. So I have this table up on here, and this is to reflect how each Enneagram uses AI. And for those of you that don't know, an Enneagram is a personality framework that describes 9 core personality types. We use this a lot in cabin culture. John Tutors, he worked with this guy named Steve who put us all through. We all got our numbers, and we open up our presentations with this, and it helps frame mind. And the reason I like to do this is, one, you can see yourself here, because how we see ourselves absorbs how we shape content, or how we absorb content. And everyone has an opinion on AI. And so I think it's important to tell you guys where my perspective is to set some context for how this is going to go. I am a 6. I'm a loyal skeptic, which means, everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm a loyal skeptic, which means I'm good at stress testing AI, and I don't trust it at all. Don't trust it at all. And Lindsay told us last time to not be afraid of it. It's not going to take our job. So I guess my fear is that it's going to start World War III, but we're not there yet. I'm kidding, kind of. No, but in all seriousness, throughout the ages, technology changes the way we work, right? What's scary to me about AI is if we think of the World Wide Web that came out in '91, it took about 20 years for it to hit mainstream. AI has hit probably 2 years ago, and it has flooded our work every day, right? We use it for everything. My gateway was, hey, make this email sound better, right? And then it trickled into creative work and documentation and research, right? So we're literally building the plane as we're flying it when it comes to how we use AI, the proper ways to communicate with it. But then for us as consultants, we also have to be masters of what we are doing, right? So the question comes, right, how do we harness this power and use it in our workflows? And there's no easy button for this. The answer is prompting. Prompting is the critical way that we communicate with AI. So that is our most important tool. So today, we're going to look through examples on what a good prompt is. We're going to look at good prompts versus bad prompts. And then we're going to get into prompt layering, how to layer prompts to maximize your product. And we're going to do that by looking at imagery, animation, and product briefs. So I think it's important to frame how I think of AI when I communicate with it. Is anybody, I'm sure people are familiar with King Midas. King Midas was gifted this amazing power that anything he touched turned to gold. And I feel that that is very relevant with AI, right? AI can give us abundance, it has endless outputs, things like that. But King Midas's gift turned into a curse very quickly. Anybody he touched turned to gold. He turned his daughter to gold. The food he would try to eat turned to gold. And it got very overwhelming, and he asked to take this gift away. So how do we make sure that this gift of AI doesn't turn into a curse? And that's through taste. I've had a lot of articles around taste the past month. And taste is our ability to discern what is meaningful, fitting, and worth pursuing from endless possibilities. It's not just aesthetics, it's judgment, restraint, and responsibility in choosing what lasts, right? So that's the ingredients of our prompt. So now with that in mind, we're going to look at a good prompt versus a bad prompt. To do that, we first need a brief, right? So we're going to look at imagery. Let's look at our imagery brief. And for our bad prompts, we've got politicians. So we're going to put politicians versus designers, and we're going to see who makes a better prompt, okay? And don't worry, Biden's coming up. We're bipartisan here. Okay, so let's start with our brief, right? Our brief is our criteria. This is our client ask. This is what we're here to do. Did I sound okay? Is that okay? It's bad for me. Okay, so our brief. Our client is a US-based heavy equipment manufacturer. They want to create a marketing image that celebrates the pride, skill, and determination of the American workforce. The image should feel authentic, cinematic, and inspiring, capturing both the individual worker and the patriotic spirit of the brand. All right, so let's see what Trump gave us. Can anybody do a Trump voice? I know it's on the spot, but if you can do it, I'd love to have you read it. Okay, I'm going to ask for Biden too, so if anybody can do a Biden. All right, so I'll read it. I tend to go a little Jersey when I do this, so I'm sorry. We're going to make the most incredible picture, folks. It's going to be huge. You've never seen anything like it. Believe me, a man, very strong, very tough. People say he's the best worker. Nobody works harder than him, not even close. He's working on equipment, the biggest machines. They're beautiful. They're American. The kind of machines that win wars and build skyscrapers, okay? He's focused, very focused. People are crying. They're so proud. He's got red hair, freckles. Some say the best freckles. The most patriotic freckles you've ever seen. And behind him, oh, it's gorgeous. The American flag waving, powerful, makes you feel proud to be American. Everyone is standing, cheering, saluting, tears in their eyes. This is a picture about greatness, about pride, about America winning again. And it's going to be perfect, absolutely perfect, maybe the best picture of all times. So, the reason that I went with politicians or presidents are great at evoking an emotional response, but that's not the taste level that we need right now, right? Input clarity equals output quality. This gave him what he wanted. It's over the top, it's outlandish, and it's technically hitting the brief, but because he went with an emotional response for a program that doesn't feel emotion, it gave him this. Let's look at how a designer would go after the same brief. Close-up portrait of a middle-aged man with red hair and freckles. He's dressed in a rugged work gear and is concentrating intently on heavy equipment he is operating. His hands and face are illuminated to show focus and craftsmanship, emphasizing the pride he takes in his work. The industrial machine fills the background with textured detail. Behind him, the American flag waves softly out of focus, providing a strong patriotic backdrop. The composition highlights determination and skill, rendered in hyper-realistic cinematic detail, right? So right here, we're seeing the difference, right? We're seeing the difference on how presidents prompt and how designers prompt. Let's put them side by side. So I've highlighted where Trump went wrong. There's a lot of fluff words. There's a lot of emotional buildup. There's a lot of repetitiveness. I don't know what patriotic freckles are, but he's creating an emotional response to a being or to a thing that is not emotional. Whereas if we look at the designer's prompt, we've described where's the camera at? What is he wearing? What is he doing? What's in the frame? What's the depth of field? What's the style of the imagery, right? That is dictation of what you want, right? This is a structural way of setting expectations to create an emotion, not relying on emotion for something that doesn't feel it. So that's where we need to trust ourselves and our gifts. Us as designers, we already think this way. If you've ever gone, or if you've ever done, in a past life, I used to be an art director, right? And the way I would write my shot list for commercials is the exact same way that I talk to AI, right? Because I'm leaving instructions for somebody to carry out my vision. And so if we think about our process that we already apply, head, heart, hands, bring the human element to the AI. Head, let's strategize, gather those insights, gather that clarity of thought. Use your heart, feel the empathy, resonate, feel those pain points, and then hands, the execution, the craft that brings it to life, right? Leaning in yourself, trusting yourself, and not the machine, that's what's going to anchor good taste. So we've covered a little bit of the do's and don'ts in our example, but let's just list them out before we go any further, right? So most important do, especially for me as a consultant, is protecting the client's IP. AI doesn't need to know who I'm working for. AI doesn't need to know who I'm working for. It's not relevant for it to do its job, right? Don't give away documents, anything like that. Make sure you're anchoring to workflows, and if you have real use cases, point to that, right? If you see something you like, go emulate it. That's part of the comparative analysis we already do. We establish market trends. If you see something that resonates, communicate that with AI. Break it down. Don't get too complicated. AI cannot handle that, and we're going to get into that when we look at Joe Biden. Iterate and refine, and dual prompting. We're going to go into dual prompting a little bit later on, so I'm not going to go too heavy on it right now. But dual prompting is a direct combat to wasting your iterations. Do not waste your iterations. Don't over-rely, don't trust blindly. Skipping, this is probably my sin right here, skipping formatting. I do that a lot because I started, my gateway into it was, hey, make this sound better. So I'm bad with my formatting. Don't dump everything. Like I said, AI needs small tactical instructions. And then, most importantly, do not assume that this thing feels empathy. Do not speak emotionally to it. It doesn't understand it. I know there's people falling in love with AI machines. Don't be that person. All right, so let's look at our animation example. Can anybody do Biden? All right. Our client is an outdoor lifestyle brand that wants to showcase the joy and beauty of cabin living. They want to highlight a moment of peace, connection to nature, and a seasonal adventure. All right, Joe, what you got? All right, folks, the porch, it's empty, totally empty, nothing at all. Then this lady shows up, just kind of drifts out, looking for something. She stands there and sees birds, one, two, a few, hard to say. They're flapping around. And then there's a huge brown bear. She screams, big scream. She's scared. Just kidding. They know each other. Her friend surprised her. She loves her bear as much as I love my dog, Champ. No, Major. Anyway, the woman, the bear, they're outdoorsy pals, just sharing a thermos. They sit, they bond. This is the whole thing. Okay, Joe. So let's see what that produced. I think I can just click, actually. Okay, we got another girl that came in. A lot of birds. I mean, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Okay, so we can start to visually see what's going wrong here, right? When we were dealing with imagery, right, it was important to dictate where camera was, what subjects we're doing. Now we've introduced a new element. We've introduced time, right? If we're introducing time, we should have numerical steps for the machine to follow, right? That don't assume, if she's at the railing, what's she doing next? What's she doing next? What's she doing next? You have to explicitly say that, otherwise AI is going to go crazy. And I think where Joe went wrong, because the introduction of that friend was really weird. Her friend surprised her friend meaning the bear. So what he's doing here, he's using pronouns to describe certain things, right? You need a naming convention. You need a naming convention that you stick with to assign matter to establish a shared vocabulary with AI, right? So here's the designer prompt. Opening shot of a woman at railing. She pauses, noticing a few birds fluttering overhead. A large brown bear appears at the edge of the porch. She startles, then relaxes with a smile. It's her companion. The bear ambles closer, calm, familiar. Together they settle by the railing and share a thermos. The scene ends in quiet harmony, warm and natural. This is going to play both of them, sorry. That's actually, see them side by side. You know, I mean, I don't know. It's probably not the best ad to put out there. but, you know, what you could see is because Joe was just talking and he wasn't really listing out his steps, his instructions became very muddy for AI to try to follow. And instead of, let me show these examples again. If I can get to it, there we go. See how my birds flap and then my bear comes in? Everything's happening all at once in Joe's, right? Because he didn't list out those steps. His instructions are muddy, he's asking for too much at once, and he's going on irrelevant anecdotes talking about his dog. AI doesn't care about his dog. Versus in our designer, we've got numerical structure, exact instructions, and it's instructional, not emotional, right? There's a little bit of emotion in there, but I'd say it's about 10% emotional, 90% tactical. All right, so I told you guys we were going to get into dual prompting, and this is where my conspiracy little loyal skeptic self gets really upset about AI. Extortion by iteration. Every time you generate, they profit. AI subscriptions are out of control. And I didn't realize how out of control they were until I had to get all of these to like play around to be able to speak about this stuff. And it's like, it's annoying. It's like, we'll give you these 30 generations or versioning, you know, whatever you want to call it. And then you got to pay for it. We'll give you these ones. Why? Why do I have to pay for it? It does it automatically. That just makes no sense. Protect your money. AI wants your money. And don't give it your money. They have subscriptions for imagery, for animation, for product, for copy, for research, for grammar, and they even have one for prompting. You don't need to buy that. Dual prompt is the practice of using one AI tool to refine, structure, and polish your prompts before sending it into another tool to generate the final output. What I like to do, I like the microphone. I talk into GBT, and I feel cool. I feel like one of those like reporters with like the little like walkie-talkie, and I'll like listen to it later. I like that, and what I'll do with that is I'll say, all right, GBT, I'm working with, and I'll state I'm working with VO. I need this to be in front end speak. I need you to work with me. This is my vision. This is what I'm doing. And I workshop it, and I workshop it, and I workshop it before I use one of my valued versions that VO gives me, because it only gives me 5, 10, whatever it is. And then I got to pay for more and pay for more and pay for more. It's a scam. It's like Netflix. You know, when you were in college and you used to have Netflix because it was $7 and cable was way too expensive, and now you've got $300 worth of streaming subscriptions. You might as well just have cable. Just have GBT. I'm not going to recommend anything, but that's what I think. All right, so let's look at layering prompts or evolving prompts, right? Especially when we're working with, like I mentioned, like VO or V0, where we're trying to build complex things. It's not a one and done thing, right? You're not going to feed one prompt into VO and then get this amazing, beautiful Charizard. You've got to start with a Charmander, you got to put the work in, and you got to evolve it, and you got to evolve it, and you got to evolve it, all right? So how do we do that? Well, let's start with a brief. And I actually really like this one. The other two were really funny, you know, they were fun. This one I actually use. This is a real case, or this is a real use case. I've taken out any client stuff, but this was really kind of groundbreaking for me and starting to incorporate this into my work and my day-to-day, right? Because this could do stuff I couldn't do in Figma. And I was fascinated by that, because if I can't do something that I want to convey, how do I learn that, right? So I really liked this. So let me read the brief. Our client needs an interactive 3D tool for Poke Centers to educate trainers on how Pokeballs are made and encourage them to purchase and assemble their own. The tool should allow users to view and explode the Pokeball, explore each part, and add components directly to their cart, right? 3D. I can't do 3D in Figma. I'm sorry, I'm so thirsty. Okay, what prompt is evolving? This is how we want to structure our prompts, right? First thing we want to do is we want to establish the framework. What are our interaction points? What access points? Responsiveness, if this thing's going to be responsive, which it was, until I went and added the different branding and then it broke it, right? I find this stuff to be very cumbersome, but it is doable, and it's interesting, right? Once we establish our framework, then we move into ease of use, right? We move into those more micro things that are going to make this experience top-notch. We also can start moving things around, right? Because we're going to establish naming conventions throughout. You have to, especially at this level, you have to establish naming conventions. This is my navigation bar. This is my control panel. This is my parts card. This is my interaction play. This is the control panel. You need to establish a vocabulary so that you guys know what to reference when you need to make changes. Because as you can see, it started out simple, then it got super, super ugly, and then we finally got it somewhere. So let's kind of deep dive into each one of these layers to see how this formulates, right? So this was the first prompt that I used. Excuse me, sorry, I just did that right in the microphone, I'm sorry. All right, so level 1, right? Anybody play Pokemon? Charizard? Oh, yeah, man, yeah. Okay, so V1, so right here off the bat, like I told you, if you're doing competitive analysis and you see something you like, point to it. Give AI a reference point. You can massage it from there, right? What do I need done? What is my user doing? What is the core feature? Why are they even here, right? This is what I need to happen in that place. Other functionality that's going to be required, right? We're establishing up the access points, the framework. Doesn't look good, doesn't look sexy, doesn't know Ember, right? No firepower, no wings, nothing. But we're nursing this thing to get it to that point, right? Then we get to what I call the awkward teenage years, or the trust the process years, or the how the heck is this gonna work years, because this was a very challenging phase, because as I would make changes, it would start to pluck and make things that I wasn't asking. I found that really difficult. And this is again where establishing a vocabulary was really important. And then the amount of edits that I was putting in also was important. I found 3 to 5 to be the happy ingredient. Anything more than that, it would get confused, right? So I've got this lovely V16. That's when you evolve Charmeleon, get a Charmeleon. This was not 16. This was way more than 16 for me. And it was way, way more than 36. I think I was at about 60. But once you get past the framework, once you get, let me go back. So in this view as well, you can see my search, my categorization, my explode views. It plucked that, it put that in there, right? But that's not where I want it to be. In that ease of use is where those naming conventions. Hey, I need you to take this, and I need it to go in parts list. I need you to take it out of nav bar, and I need that to go here. Those parts cards, I need this to happen to it. Having that shared vocabulary is going to be very beneficial, because you guys are then speaking the same language, sharing the same taste. So I'll show you guys what I was able to create using VO after about 60 versions. And I was really happy with it. Like I said, I would have never been able to do this in Figma. And so it was really great to be able to provide this to my dev team and say, this is the interaction I'm looking for. These are the physics. This is how I want it to move. The user should be able to pinch it and pull it, explode it out. I was also able to even get a control panel on the side for users that might have an accessibility issue. They can use the control panel to do the same interactions, right? Establishing that gateway for accessibility, was able to do that in the program. We were also I even got some surprises. My search feature worked. My sorting feature worked. I was able to tether the part cards to the diagram. This was all interactions that I was looking to convey to my developer. And I will tell you, it's the skeptic in me. With VO, you have the ability to upload a Figma file into VO. I didn't want to do that. It's the client's IP. I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. So that could work for you. I haven't done it. Yes?
sorry for interrupting. What tool is this, and like, what application we use this for? Like, different applications, or web applications, or mobile applications, or like, what tool is this, and what is it used for? Like,
Do you mean the AI that I use to create it? So it's called v0.dev. It's by Vexel. Yep. And yeah, like it really cool, really amazing stuff. So this was for a 3D part explosion model. So our client, it acts similar to the Pokeball. They wanted to be able to take a piece of equipment that has multiple parts into it and allow for that part to expand so that you could go in, look at the part you need, show any like superseded or replacement parts, any manuals or info, things like that. So they were currently using like a unit parts list, which was acting like a tree branch. It was very static, very dated, things like that. So they asked us to come in to provide a proof of concept for the 3D rendering part. And so I was able to give this along with a Figma file. I had a Figma file that rooted into the design system that pulled true look and feel, and I gave that to the dev team. You know, this is what it looks like. I gave this to the dev team also. This is what it functions like. And they were able to create a demo on that we actually just showed it last night to the client. It went really well. But this was, thank you. But this was my first time kind of using VO in this way for client work. I've played around with it before, but I've never trusted it enough to do client work. Like I said, my perspective, I don't trust this stuff. It feels weird, right? And I feel like I need to be putting these guardrails on myself so I don't become over-reliant on that. And that's up to the individual. But I do appreciate the time to speak with you guys here. I hope you learned something from the examples. My key takeaways, do you have a question? Well, I've got one more slide, and then I was going to. Okay. So from a loyal skeptic, here's my 4 takeaways for you. AI is not magic. AI works for you. AI wants your money, and AI is evolving. Thank you, guys. Yeah.